Welcome back everyone to lesson 4 of the Java tutorial series. Today we are going to be talking about functions and how to document your code, which is using Oracle's built-in method is Javadoc. So quick and simple episode. We're only going to introduce you the basics of functions. No complicated stuff, but I will tell you this is not the last of the functions. They will come back, and they will come back in a different form, and I will just warn you, they will come back in a more advanced form. So you better catch on with what I'm saying today. But yeah, let's just get started. Enough introducing, and yeah, let's head on over to Eclipse. So we'll just open up Eclipse, and yeah, look, this is our basic setup here from lesson 1. We talked about the main function, which obviously it's a function here, but we are going to define our own function. So let's start by defining our own function. So we are going to define a function. It's going to have a return type first, and then the name, and then parameters. So you see what I mean. So a return type is a data type. We talked about data types in our second episode. So one data type we have is the integer data type. And then let's just do a simple add function. So we do an add, and then we want to take two parameters because we want to add two numbers. We want to do int a or x, or and int y. So int y, just generic variables, and then we want to return x plus y. So pretty simple, pretty short. Nothing bad with that. And now we are going to, again, this is declaring the function. Now we're gonna call our function here. So we're gonna do system dot out dot print line add 7 and 4, so it should equal 11. But look at that, we define our first function. So let's just run it, and let's run it, and there's an error. Why? So the error is expected, but here's the deal with this. So the error is complicated, but what it's saying is that you can't really call this function without assigning an object to it. Okay, well, what's an object? Well, you'll see in lesson 6, but basically, an object, it has to do with object-oriented programming. We'll talk about that later, but for now, if you want this to work, you'll have to add static in front. This will basically, eliminate the error, and you can also call the static method to the static reference. So why static? Well, you'll find out in a later episode. I don't really want to go too deep in this episode, but later episode you'll find out why we had to put static in front and what happens if you don't put static in front. But for now, just leave that there, and now it should run perfectly fine. So let's just run, and you can see it prints out 11. So nothing too serious there. We can also do different return types. We can do Boolean return types again. Okay, but there's also a special return type, which is the void return type. Now, void is not a data type. It's a function data type, which is exclusive to functions only. So let's do a void data type. Remember, if we want to call the function, we have to type static, and we got to do static void. And let's just do a print statement, because I don't know about you, I don't really like to write a print statement that often. That giant clunky system.out.println line, yeah, that's not my style. So I'm just going to define a function that just simply prints a string. Now we don't have to write this long mess. All we have to do is we can just write print and print hello world. So instead of the first day hello world, we can just write our new function here, and now we run it, and it should do exactly the same thing. So that's the usefulness of functions here. So knowing this knowledge, we can actually dissect the main method here. You can see the main method is static, aka you can actually call it from anywhere else in the function. So we can actually do main like that, but main, and then you can see it returns void. Obviously, it's a main function. It doesn't return anything. And you can see there's also some parameters, which is the string args. Now, the string args is actually an array. So we'll talk about arrays in the next episode, but this is basically Java's way of saying this is where execution starts and this is where execution ends. So that's the main function here. And yes, it must be called main with the lowercase m and everything. So public, you might ask what is public. Public is have to do with the class, and we'll talk about public in episode 6. So hang on steady there. We aren't going too fast yet. We just want to establish some foundations here, but we will get to public. Everything on the screen will be explained in this tutorial series. So now that's functions. It's pretty easy. But now we are actually going to talk about Javadoc. So Javadoc is a good way of documentation your code, because let's be honest, we don't want to read all your code. We just want to know what it does, and if you work for a company, I bet that's what your coworkers want to do. They don't want to look at your code. They just want to use it, know how to use it, so they can implement it in some other things. So let's actually document our functions here. So to document your functions, we are type a forward slash, and then 2 asterisks, kind of like a comment, but not really. And you can see automatically Eclipse is good by adding some things we can do here. So this is for the int add function. So you can see it can have the Javadoc automatically create something. You can see it creates the parameter x, parameter y, and the return statement, which is x plus y. So you can see on my left side here, Eclipse automatically creates this this formatting thing. So that's useful because you want people to know how this function works. So we can do that by saying takes two numbers x, y, and returns the sum of x and y. So on the left hand side, you can see takes two numbers x, y, returns the sum of x and y. Parameters x, y, returns x, y. Boom, simple. That's Javadoc. Let's try to document this function to prevent your work from getting stolen. You can also assign yourself an author. So author, boom, like that. Parameters s, it returns nothing, so we can do return void. And we can also assign a version number. So we can do version, and we can do version 1.0. This is for source control and other things related to version numbers and stuff. This is for developing software that version releases and stuff. But you can see Eclipse also formats this. Again, you can add a short blurb using the API note. The function is takes a string and prints it to console. So that's your short note. And yeah, that's pretty much API documentation. It's not really that hard. This is obviously advanced form of comments, because you can obviously comment your code and say the same thing. But this is just, look, this is much easier to read. This is the return type. This is the API note. This is the author. Instead of trying to write a whole long paragraph, you can just use the Javadoc. And in fact, the Java developers at Oracle and Sun, they also have used Javadoc, and you can see that let's actually look at how this print line function works. So you can see in our left hand side we have a Javadoc. So look, it also takes in a parameter, and it also tells you a little bit about the function, kind of like what we did here. So we can actually go to the actual declaration here. So this we are going to the internal functions here. If it will open, let's see if we can open the functions here. let me see. Open declaration. I guess. Okay, let's try to go in our system library here. You can see we have a lot of things here, but let us go to java.util. Wait a minute. Java.utility. Where are the utilities? Java. Give me a second. I wonder why they're not here. Alright, let's see if they're probably inside Java. It doesn't matter, but you get the point. Let's open like a random thing. Let's do Java.compiler. Actually, let's not. Let's do Java.base, Java, and let's do the math. Let's look at rounding. So this is the internal version. You can see it is copyrighted by Oracle, and you have, if you want to use this, you must agree to its license. But we're not gonna use this. But you can see already there is Javadoc. So you can see this giant paragraph, and you can see author. These authors created this, and this is the version. And then you can see the things begin. There you can see, like, also most of this is just documentation. I would say there's about 400 lines of code here, and about probably 300 lines of code, not lines of code, but lines is dedicated to Javadoc. Very important. You can see Eclipse also creates some of this, but you want people to know what your code means so that they can use it properly. So this is an internal version of the Javadoc. It's also a real life version. They also use HTML headers and stuff, but that's Javadoc. But we can just stick to our basic here, and yeah. So today you learn about functions. You learn how functions work, and you learn how Javadocs work. So hopefully you can take these two tools together, and you can create good functions, and you can create good documentation, so people will know how to use your functions correctly. Next episode, we are going to talk about data structures. That includes everything from lists to arrays to other things that are related to data structures. Again, next episode, it will get more and more advanced. We'll start OOP the 6th episode, and yeah, it'll just be going skyrocket from there. So yeah, better get your seatbelts on, because we will not be slowing down. Java is a very, very intricate language, and this will probably be the last of the basics. We'll start, accelerating faster and faster after this. But not to scare you off, but that's just the reality of this. If I want to cover this material in a reasonable amount of time, I'll have to speed up here. So we'll see you in the next time, and yeah, stay safe, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Peace out.